My name is Lena Marlowe, and the night my husband said the words business trip, I felt something in our house shift. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was the kind of shift a person only notices if they have ignored too many small warnings. Caleb stood in the doorway with a garment bag over his shoulder. He kissed my forehead. He smelled like cedar and new paper. 2 nights, he said. 1 pitch. I will text when I land. I smiled. I pretended to believe him. I had been pretending for months without admitting it. At midnight, a text arrived. Flight delayed. Love you. I tried to sleep. I could not. At 3 in the morning, my phone rang. Not a text, a call. Unknown number. I answered. Ms. Marlowe? Special Agent Rowan Nolan. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Are you in a private space? My heart stumbled. Yes. Your husband's company is under sealed financial inquiry. We are tracking unusual transfers routed through a firm called Harborstone Consulting. Your name appears on shared documents. We need to ask if you have access to his devices. The kitchen felt too bright. I stared at the coffee pot like it could explain something. He is on a flight, I said weakly. No, Agent Nolan said. He left the airport 40 minutes after check-in. We have surveillance confirming it. Something cold ran under my skin. Do not confront him, she continued. Do not move files. Do not warn him. Just confirm. Do you have access to his work computer? I whispered, yes. Then you can help us determine what is yours to defend. We will contact you again in the morning. Do not tell anyone we spoke. The call ended. The silence afterward felt like a verdict. I walked to Caleb's study. I knew his password, his mother's maiden name, because he believed emotional things were safe and unguessable. The screen lit. I searched the folders calmly, almost mechanically, like I was looking for keys I already knew were missing. I found a folder labeled third-party urgent. Inside, spreadsheets of transfers routed through Harborstone. The amounts were even, clean structured, not payroll, not invoices. The destination was an offshore account that contained his middle name disguised in a trust title. I printed everything. I photographed the screen with timestamps visible. My hands did not shake. The shaking came later. At dawn, Caleb returned. Not jet-lagged. Not travel-worn. Just normal. He set his garment bag down and poured coffee like any ordinary morning. I placed the spreadsheet between us. He looked at it. He did not flinch. He did not ask where I found it. He did not deny it. He simply said, Lena, you do not understand how business works. A sentence used by men who have already decided you are furniture. I told him the FBI called. His jaw tightened a fraction. Not panic, calculation. He walked to his study, closed the door, and stayed there for an hour. I did not knock. I did not follow. I listened to drawers opening, papers shifting, locks turning. When he came back, he had a calm, deliberate look I had never seen on his face before. This is nothing. An audit. They always start with the highest revenue accounts. It will pass. Do not mention this to anyone. I already did, I said. Last night. That was the first time he looked afraid. Not a dramatic fear. A sharp metallic one. He said he needed to step out for a moment. I stepped between him and the door. If you move a single dollar today, I said quietly, they will know. And it will be worse. He didn't argue. He just stared at me as if I had become someone else, someone he had underestimated. He walked around me and left. The door clicked shut like a closing chapter. I gathered the printouts, photographs, and a notebook. I wrote the date, the exact time he returned, the look in his eyes when I mentioned the FBI. Then my phone buzzed. Delete nothing. We are close. Wait. 3 knocks sounded at the door. Measured, deliberate. I opened it. 2 agents in dark coats held badges. And behind them stood a woman I recognized from Caleb's business event photographs. She met my eyes and said, very quietly, I am the cooperating witness. And I am the reason he ran. The agents moved through my house with practiced quiet. The woman who stood behind them, the one I recognized from Caleb's business trip photos, kept her hands folded. Her expression held apology and something sharper. Ms. Marlowe, Agent Rowan Nolan said, thank you for cooperating. We will create forensic copies of all devices. Please show us his study. I led them down the hallway. The study still held Caleb's warmth, like he had just stepped out of the room. Agent Cole connected a small drive to the computer, watching lights blink in steady patterns. Nolan opened a folder and clicked through the files I had shown her screenshots of. The woman finally spoke. My name is Mara Ellison. I worked with your husband. I am cooperating to avoid being charged myself. Her voice was steady, not dramatic. It made the truth heavier. Harborstone is not a consulting firm, she continued. It is a shell used to move client money into private trusts. Your husband helped create the routing. I listened without interrupting. I had practiced silence for years without knowing it was training. Agent Nolan slid a form toward me. This is voluntary consent to search the study and image the workstation. You do not have to sign. But if you do, it expedites the case and protects you legally. I signed. My hand did not shake. Agent Cole searched the desk drawers. Ledger. Calculator. Receipts. Underneath a stack of envelopes, he lifted a thin black notebook. Caleb's handwriting filled every page. Initials, dates, transfer codes. His walking ledger. Mara didn't look away. He keeps that one close. He does not trust digital records. I felt something tighten inside my chest. How long have you known? I asked her. She didn't hesitate. 2 months. When I realized a client's retirement fund had been emptied to hide a deficit. He told me he was fixing it. That it would balance out. I believed him until I saw your name on the authorization for a transfer you clearly did not sign. So he had used me. Not just emotionally. Legally. Agent Nolan's voice broke the silence. We will secure the ledger as evidence. If he tries to claim you were involved, this protects you. You were the witness who preserved the trail. Agent Cole stepped outside to check the car. Nolan stood with me. Ms. Marlowe, I need to ask something directly. When you confronted him this morning, did he appear frightened, angry, or controlled? Controlled, I said. He smiled like he was calculating how to fix it. That means he is already planning his next move. Likely involving a safe deposit box or external storage. Nolan turned to Mara. Which branch? First Harbor. Old location on Delancey, Mara answered. Nolan nodded. We will go now. When the agents headed to the door, Mara paused. He will contact you. He will sound calm. He will ask you to wait. Do not meet him. Do not explain yourself. He believes you will protect him to protect your life. But your life is already separate from his. Her words felt like someone stating the temperature of a room I had refused to acknowledge. They left. The house became too still again. I collected my notes, screenshots, printed statements. I placed them in a plain folder and sealed it inside a waterproof bag under the sink. Not because I expected water, because I understood now that evidence is the only anchor when someone is skilled at rewriting reality. My phone buzzed. A message from Caleb. Meeting ran long. I will call soon. Love you. Do not worry. The tone was familiar. Gentle. Practiced. Wrong. Another message arrived half a second later, from an unknown number. He knows they were there. He is going to Delancey. I sent one line to Agent Nolan. He is on the way. No response yet. They were already moving. Then footsteps on my porch. 3 slow knocks. The same rhythm the agents used. I approached the door but didn't open it. I looked through the peephole. Caleb stood there, calm, coat collar turned up, hands visible. He looked like a man dropping in to say hello. Not a man avoiding federal charges. Lena, he said through the door, his voice soft, trained, familiar. Let me in. We should talk. We do not need other people involved. My hand rested on the lock. Then I saw something else. Just behind him, half hidden by the porch column, a man I had never seen lifted his phone. He was recording my door. Recording whether I would let Caleb in. Recording evidence they could later twist. I stepped back from the door slowly. Caleb's voice followed, calm as ever. Lena, do not make this difficult. I did not open the door. Caleb's voice arrived through the wood, calm, practiced. Lena, we can talk. Let me explain. Let me fix this before it blows up. Behind him, someone held a phone. I could see the faint glow through the glass. The figure was half hidden. steadying a camera on my doorstep like a hawk taking aim. My fingers found the deadbolt and held. I thought of Agent Nolan's quiet warning. Do not meet him. I thought of Mara's cold apology. I thought of the spreadsheet on my kitchen counter that proved my life was misfiled. Who is with you? I asked through the door. A colleague, Caleb answered. Someone from the firm. He came to help. He will vouch. The word vouch was a prop. A script. Men who slide truth into numbers always bring props. Not now, I said. You do not get to choose how this ends. His voice softened. You can stop this. Open the door. We can be private. We can keep the family safe. He used the word family like armor. I remembered weddings and small mercies. I also remembered transfers and trust names where my own name had no place but debt papers. The porch light blinked on and off somewhere, likely timed by a passerby. I moved to the laundry room and sat on the bare floor. It smelled of detergent and dust and small things I had once trusted. I let my breath find a slow rhythm. My phone vibrated at last. Agent Nolan. We intercepted him 2 blocks from Delancey. He diverted. Do not engage. We are on our way to the branch now. Relief came in a hollow shape. Then a second text. He knows they were there. He is heading to First Harbor. I pushed my feet into shoes and drove to the field office. Nolan and Mara waited in a fluorescent room with a whiteboard and a single pot of stale coffee. Mara's jaw was tight. Nolan did not look surprised. We have a partial image from the bank's exterior cam, Nolan said. He played a short clip. Caleb moved quick, courteous, casual. A gray-coated man slipped him a small, flat parcel at the curb. Caleb tucked it beneath his jacket like a contraband of civility. He emptied his safe deposit box before we could serve a warrant, Nolan said. He moved something important. Mara's voice was small, precise. He calls it the foundation ledger. It lists real beneficiaries. Offshore names. Big money. Names that could make this case a city problem instead of a private one. A city problem. The ledger was a key that opened many doors. If it surfaced, it would not stop at Caleb. Nolan's expression hardened. He is hiding something close. He thinks you will not find it because he never expected you to look. Where does he hide things at home? I thought of the attic, of weekends he'd spent rearranging boxes while I pretended not to notice. I thought of the hollow places a man can hide a life in. The attic, I said. We drove back in an unmarked car. The house loomed the same but felt stranger. We entered through the back. Nolan went first. Mara followed. I brought up the rear like an intruder in my own life. The attic door groaned when we lifted it. Dust fell like old snow. My flashlight picked out trunks and holiday boxes. The forgotten architecture of a life that seemed unremarkable until it was evidence. At the far wall, masked tape labeled winter clothing caught my eye. Caleb's neat hand on it. A lie stares like a thing that expects you to believe it. Nolan nodded. Cole pried the lid. Inside. Not scarves, not boots, but a small fireproof lockbox. The hinge looked warm, as if touched not long ago. Nolan reached for the box with gloved hands. The room held its breath. Then below us the front door latch clicked. Someone had just entered the house. Nolan froze with the lockbox half raised, and the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps began on the stairs. We froze where we stood. The attic was silent except for the slow creak of a footstep on the stairs below. The sound was deliberate. Not rushed. Not afraid. Someone was claiming space inside my house like they belonged there. Agent Nolan raised her hand, signaling no sound. Agent Cole drew his weapon without a word. Mara's eyes locked onto mine. I realized I was holding my breath. Another step. Then another. Whoever was below was not Caleb. Caleb's footfalls were confident, uneven. This was slower. Careful. Someone trained to move quietly. Cole whispered. Position. Nolan nodded and moved toward the attic ladder. Mara motioned me behind a storage crate. I crouched, heart shaking my whole body from the inside. We listened. A floorboard sighed under weight. A hand brushed the wall. Papers shifted downstairs. Someone checking surfaces, not searching, confirming. They were not here to steal. They were here to verify what had already been taken. Nolan descended first, silent as a held breath. Cole followed. I heard a voice below, low, male, unfamiliar. She has it. My blood turned cold. A second voice answered, barely above a whisper. Not anymore. He moved the second book. He will bring it out on his terms. They were discussing the ledger. The foundation ledger. I could not see them, but I pictured them standing in my living room, comfortable in my home, stepping through the space where I once packed lunches and folded blankets. Then footsteps approached the attic ladder. A face surfaced, not Caleb's. A man in a black coat, clean-shaven, calm expression, eyes that did not register surprise at armed agents. He lifted his hand slowly. No trouble, he said. Just delivering a message. Mara's breath caught. She knew him. Nolan kept her gun steady. Do not move. The man ignored the command and looked directly at me, though I was half hidden. Caleb said to tell you. Stop before you ruin everything we built. He needs time. He will come home when it is safe. My throat tightened. Safe for him. Never for me. Nolan stepped forward. You are trespassing in an active federal investigation. You will be taken into custody. He did not resist. He smiled. A small chilling thing, and placed his phone on the floor like evidence he chose to surrender. You want this more than you want him, he told Nolan. Cole cuffed him and led him downstairs. Mara stayed frozen in place. I asked, you know him? She nodded, ashamed. He was Caleb's mentor. The one who said Harborstone was the future. He pulled Caleb into this. He is the reason your husband changed. You loved him? I asked. No, Mara said. I believed him. Belief was sometimes worse. We carried the lockbox downstairs. Nolan placed it on my kitchen table. The same table where I once chopped vegetables and signed holiday cards. Now it waited like a verdict. It's locked, Cole said. Nolan nodded. Fireproof. Tamper-resistant. If we try to force it, we risk destroying the contents. We need the key. The key he keeps in his wallet, I whispered. The wallet we had seized from the car earlier. Cole opened an evidence bag. The brass key glinted faintly. Nolan slid it into the lock. She paused. Miss Marlowe, she said quietly, what you see and hear may shift how you understand the past 10 years of your life. Once opened, this does not go away. I nodded. The lock clicked. The lid opened. Inside, stacks of thin envelopes, each labeled with dates I recognized, dates of holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. And inside each envelope, printed confirmations of wire transfers. Not to Caleb. To Mara. To a third name I didn't know. To Harborstone. To a foundation under my name. But then Nolan pulled one more item from beneath the envelopes. A sealed letter addressed to me. In Caleb's handwriting. My fingers refused to move. Mara stared at the letter like a wound. Nolan handed it to me. Read it. I unfolded it slowly. Lena, if you are reading this, then I am already out of time. I never meant for you to be part of this. I had to move the smaller accounts first. The rest would have followed. I was protecting us. I swear it. I will fix it. Trust me one last time. See? Trust me one last time. The words felt like a hand around my throat. I looked up. He thinks I will run with him. Nolan nodded. He expects loyalty to override reality. That is his leverage. Mara's voice broke. He is going to disappear. Cole confirmed it. He has the second ledger. If he reaches state lines, we lose jurisdictional control. We all understood at the same moment. He wasn't running from law. He was running to negotiate with people bigger than the law. Nolan grabbed the lockbox. We go now. We rushed toward the door. As Nolan opened it, I saw a car idling across the street. Caleb was in the passenger seat. He was not alone. The car outside didn't speed away. It simply rolled into traffic, as if Caleb had all the time in the world. That told us everything. He wasn't running. He was coordinating. He's planning to trade, Agent Nolan said. He thinks the second ledger buys him immunity. Mara's voice was flat. He's going to Harborstone's private office. Level 6. Not the public one. The one with no directory listing. I remembered that building. Caleb once called it the future. I thought he meant ambition. Now I knew he meant escape. We moved fast. Evidence sealed. Lockbox secured. The letter he wrote me like a rope he expected me to grab. I didn't. The city blurred past the windows. People on sidewalks. Coffee shops. Traffic lights. But everything inside me was sharp, cold, awake. We parked down the block from the mirrored building on the river. The glass reflected the sky, clean and perfect, hiding everything inside. The lobby was nearly empty. A receptionist typed without looking up. Cole showed credentials. Federal action. Immediate access to level 6. No argument. No alarm. The elevator opened smoothly, like the building didn't care whose life was burning. Level 6 was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet designed to intimidate. And there he was. Caleb stood beside a long glass table, coat folded neatly, posture easy. Not cornered. Not afraid. Waiting. He looked at me first. Always me. As if the agents, the evidence, the truth itself were background noise. Lena, he said softly. Good. You came. Mara stiffened beside me, as if bracing for a collision she'd already lived once. Agent Nolan stepped forward. We're here for the ledger. This ends now. Caleb didn't look at her. The ledger ends when I decide where it goes. He spoke calmly, like a man discussing dinner reservations. The Bureau can make life difficult, but they also know leverage when they see it. He nodded slightly toward me. And she understands leverage. He was using my loyalty as a bargaining chip. I held his gaze. Where is it? His smile was small, controlled. On its way. Footsteps sounded behind us. The elevator had returned without us calling it. A man stepped out. Expensive suit. Silver tie. Smooth expression. A corporate defense attorney. The kind who made white-collar crime evaporate. He carried a briefcase. Caleb's voice didn't change tone. You know him, Lena. He represented Meridian Capital when their executives bought their own absolution. He's very efficient. The lawyer placed the briefcase on the table and opened it. Inside, a cooperation agreement. Government seal. Signatures. Caleb's name already written. My blood ran cold. He had already negotiated. Before the ledger. Before the confrontation. Before I ever saw the spreadsheets. He wasn't reacting to being caught. He expected it. He architected it. He meant to walk free. Agent Nolan spoke, voice sharp. This agreement is pending. It's not approved. And without the ledger. Caleb cut her off. The ledger is in transit. When it arrives, I sign. You get names. You get money trails. You get the case of your career. I get 24 months. Maybe less. Minimum security. He turned to me again. And we start over somewhere quieter. The room swayed, not physically, morally. He thought I would choose us. He thought I would want him free. He thought my fear would outrun my memory. Mara stepped forward, voice breaking. You told me we were fixing systems. You told me no one innocent got hurt. Caleb didn't blink. You believed what you needed to believe. There it was. His truth. The real one. Nolan's phone vibrated. She glanced at the screen. Her eyebrows lifted, a flicker of surprise. Then she smiled. Not a pleased smile. A we just won smile. Caleb, she said quietly, the ledger isn't coming here. He frowned. The courier flipped. Nolan continued. He gave it to us. Caleb's breath caught. Just once. His first real fear. The lawyer closed the briefcase slowly. Mara whispered. It's over. Caleb turned toward me. No confidence now, just calculation scrambling to rebuild. Lena. I stepped back from him and said nothing. Silence was the first choice I ever made that he didn't plan for. The moment I stepped back, something in Caleb's face cracked. Not visibly. He never showed fracture. But the calculation in his eyes stuttered. He had expected hesitation, pleading, maybe tears. He had not expected silence. You don't understand what happens if you let this go forward, he said. He kept his voice low, intimate, the voice he used when we shared secrets at 2 a.m. This is not just numbers. These are people with reach. If I fall, they will come for you too. Agent Nolan moved between us, not hurried, just inevitable. You don't speak to her again without counsel present. The lawyer closed his briefcase with a soft click. We're done here, he told Caleb. Without the ledger, They have no reason to offer leniency. Caleb forced a smile, the same one he used in family photos when he wished he were somewhere else. Let's all take a breath. Emotions are high. We can still resolve this in a civilized. Caleb, I said. My voice was steady. You need to stop talking. He blinked, and for a heartbeat the room felt still. I realized I had never spoken to him like that before. Not as a question, not as a request. As a fact. He took a slow step toward me. Cole stepped forward instantly, hand near his weapon. Caleb stopped. You think they care about you? Caleb asked me. They'll use you until you're no longer needed. Then you'll be the one holding the bag. He meant fear as a leash. But fear was gone. Only clarity remained. Mara's voice entered the silence. You used her name on authorizations. You put her signature where it didn't belong. She's the one who goes to prison if she stays quiet. Caleb turned on her with sudden precision. And you're the one who followed me because you wanted to be important. Her expression didn't change. That told me she had heard worse from him. Agent Nolan's phone vibrated again. This time she didn't hide the screen. Ledger is in federal custody, she said. Chain of evidence confirmed. It's done. Caleb's jaw tightened. He wasn't calm anymore. He was calculating escape vector. He scanned the room. 2 agents blocking the elevator. 1 exit door behind him locked by code. No direct route. Still he tried. He lunged, not at Nolan. Not at Cole. At me. If he grabbed me, I would become leverage again. Shield, bargaining chip, hostage, wife. The role he believed I was born to play. Cole intercepted him mid-step, pinning him hard against the glass wall. The sound echoed. For a second, the mirrored windows trembled. Caleb didn't fight. He went still, completely still, the way predators freeze when they realize the hunt has reversed. Nolan cuffed him. Caleb Marlowe, she said. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit financial fraud, wire fraud, falsification of documents, and obstruction of. He didn't look at her. He looked at me. Lena, he said quietly, I built everything for us. No, I said. You built it and expected me not to see. They walked him toward the elevator. The lawyer didn't try to intervene. He simply adjusted his cufflinks, like men do when they are already planning the next client. As Caleb disappeared behind the closing doors, Mara closed her eyes. Her shoulders sagged. Not relief, not sorrow. Something heavier. The grief of waking up from a long manipulation. We rode down in silence. Outside, the city still moved. Cars. People. The world did not care that the axis of mine had shifted. Nolan spoke first. This isn't finished. There will be hearings. Depositions. He may try to negotiate against his co-conspirators. He may even ask for you. He already lost me, I said. Mara swallowed hard. He never thought he could. The air felt new. Too sharp. Too bright. Then Nolan's phone buzzed again. She frowned at the screen. There's another issue, she said slowly. Cole leaned closer. What now? Nolan looked at me, not them. Your signature appears on property transfer documents, she said. Filed 3 weeks ago. If validated, they convert your home and joint accounts into trust assets under Caleb's control. My stomach dropped. He tried to erase your legal identity from your own life, Nolan said. And then, we don't know yet if the transfer was processed, or if there's still time to stop it. The world tilted. We were no longer fighting to prove what he did. We were fighting to keep what was still mine. The words hit harder than anything else. He transferred your house, Agent Nolan said. Your accounts. Everything jointly held. I felt the floor shift. Not figuratively, the building itself felt wrong, like gravity had tilted. How? My voice was quiet. Mara answered. He forged your signature. He had samples. He could do it. I remembered birthday cards. Mortgage papers. The way we once signed things side by side while sipping coffee. I had given him everything he needed to erase me. Cole checked his tablet. The filing timestamp is 3 weeks old. The request is still in processing due to backlog. If it clears, your home becomes trust property. He could liquidate it from custody. Meaning, prison didn't remove his power. Paperwork could. We have to stop the transfer, Nolan said. Immediately. We left the glass tower behind. The river reflected a sky that didn't care what collapsed beneath it. Traffic moved normally. People sipped lattes. My life was on fire and the world kept breathing. The county records office was across town. A beige building with fluorescent lights and a waiting room full of people who had no idea what war looked like on paper. Nolan moved to the counter. Federal interference. Immediate hold on transfer documents under investigation. The clerk looked up, startled. Which transaction? I gave my name. I didn't even recognize how it sounded. The clerk typed. Slowly. Too slowly. Every keystroke was a hammer. She looked at the screen, then back at me. The transfer is flagged. Someone else already requested a hold this morning. My heart stilled. Who? I whispered. The clerk pointed behind us. Mara. She stood a few feet back, eyes lowered, hands clasped tight. I put the hold in, she said softly. The day I decided to tell the Bureau. I knew he would try to protect the assets first. I couldn't prove anything yet, but I could buy time. The room went absolutely silent. I stared at her. Not angry. Not grateful. Just seeing her clearly for the first time. She hadn't been saving him. She had been slowing the damage. Nolan exhaled. Tension in her shoulders easing a fraction. Then we can formally freeze the assets. The clerk typed a few more lines. A freeze requires co-owner consent. Meaning me. I signed fast. Hard. The pen nearly tore the paper. Once the freeze was filed, the clerk printed the confirmation. A single page. Ordinary. Thin. But it felt like a wall I had just built around my life with my own hand. Mara stepped closer. You have time now. Not much. But time. I studied her face. She looked exhausted. And human. And ruined. Just like me. Why did you help him? I asked, not accusing, just asking the question that needed air. Mara swallowed. Because he convinced me he was doing something visionary. Something that would change everything for the better. And I believed him because wanting to believe someone is the fastest way to lose yourself. She spoke like she had practiced that sentence in silence. Before I could respond, Cole's phone buzzed. He looked down, then up at us. Caleb's requesting to make a statement, he said. He's invoking spousal contact privilege. My chest tightened. He was still trying to use the marriage. Nolan shook her head. She's not required to speak to him. No, Cole said. He isn't asking to speak to her privately. He requested a recorded statement to be delivered to her. Meaning he wanted to perform, to narrate his version, to rewrite the truth before the world got mine. The recording was cued. Nolan held the screen between us. Caleb appeared, seated at a metal table in an intake room. No cuffs. No panic. Just that same maddening control. Lena, he began, voice unnervingly calm. I know what you think you've seen. And I know what the Bureau told you. But they don't care about you. I do. I always have. I made decisions to protect us. If you stand with me publicly, we can both walk away intact. Our life doesn't have to end here. He leaned forward, eyes steady, voice soft enough to feel intimate even through recording. All you have to do is come to court and say the signatures are yours. The room around me went cold. He was not begging. He was instructing. Even now. Mara covered her mouth. Cole muttered. He's trying to turn her into his alibi. Nolan stared at me, waiting. This was the moment Caleb had been building toward the entire marriage. The moment where loyalty became a weapon. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, my voice was steady. I am not saving him, I said. Nolan nodded once. Then we prepare for trial. As we turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A number I did not recognize. One text. You think the ledger was the only record? You don't know who he worked for. Before I could reply, another message arrived. A single name. A name I hadn't heard in years. A name that should have been impossible to connect to Caleb at all. The message on my phone was only one word. A name I hadn't spoken in years. Rothwell. The room didn't fall silent, I did. Everything inside me froze in a way that wasn't shock but recognition. Agent Nolan leaned closer. Who is Rothwell? I swallowed. My former mentor. Before I met Caleb. Before the marriage. I interned for his firm. He advised me once. He taught me how to read financial structures, how to track transfers across subsidiaries. He said I was sharp enough to see the seams. Mara's voice was quiet. And he knew Caleb? No, I said. No, they never met. Rothwell retired before Caleb and I stopped, because I didn't know that. I had assumed. Assumption is the doorway every betrayal walks through. Nolan's expression sharpened. If your mentor is tied to Harborstone or the offshore structure, that means Caleb didn't build the system. He joined it, Mara finished softly. He joined something that was already alive. Cole checked the message metadata. The number is a burner. No trace. Whoever sent this wants you informed but not involved. Or warned. Or recruited. The message came again. Another line. Check the charity filings. My breath hitched, because I knew exactly which charity that meant. My mother's. The small literacy fund Caleb had convinced me to modernize 5 years ago. I thought he was helping me. I thought he was supporting something good. We changed board structures. We updated the registration. We centralized the accounts. I trusted him with the paperwork. I didn't check every revision. We ran. Not dramatic, urgent. Controlled. Back to my house. Back to the attic. Back to the lockbox we had not searched thoroughly enough. Cole lifted out the envelopes while Nolan scanned the contents. And then, beneath the transaction records under a false cardboard bottom, a folder. My mother's charity documentation. Updated bylaws. New officers. 2 signatures. Mine and Caleb's. Except my signature was wrong. Perfect. Smooth. Mechanical. Not mine. He had forged my name not just on the house. Not just on the accounts. But on the charity I had built in my mother's memory. Mara sank onto a chair. He used the fund to disguise transfers. Small sums. Round. Disguised as literacy grants. Nolan nodded slowly. The charity was the laundering conduit. Not Harborstone. Harborstone was just a relay. And then something worse. Cole unfolded the last page. Here. The charity, my charity, was listed as operating under the umbrella of Rothwell Foundation Holdings. I felt the room tilt. Rothwell didn't just know Caleb. Rothwell recruited him. And used me. Not as partner. Not as accomplice. As access. My chest tightened. Not panic. The beginning of something colder. Nolan spoke carefully. This means Caleb was not the architect. He was the asset. The foundation of your mother's charity was the entry point. You were the asset too. They needed someone respectable. Trustworthy. Clean. The realization was slow and deep and final. Caleb didn't fall into corruption. He was placed into my life. By someone who once called me promising. I stood up. The floor steadied. My voice came from a place far below fear. Where is Rothwell now? Cole checked quickly. He disappeared 2 years ago. Rumored offshore. No confirmed location. Nolan lifted her eyes to mine. If he reaches out, you do not respond. You forward everything directly to me. He is dangerous. He plays long games. But the message came again. Meet me. Noon. The old library. No bureau. Or the next file goes public. Mara whispered. He wants to force your hand. I stared at the screen. He wasn't threatening my reputation. He was threatening the charity. The program. The volunteers. The children. If he released what Caleb did through the fund, the public would see my name on every document. And no one would believe how deeply a person can be used. Nolan shook her head. This is bait. We do not respond on his terms. We set the stage. We place surveillance. We control the environment. But I was already seeing something Nolan wasn't. Rothwell didn't want to hide. He wanted me to understand. He wanted me to choose. I spoke slowly. We don't decline. We don't run. We let him believe I'm alone. Cole frowned. You're not going without protection. I don't need to go alone, I said. I just need him to think I did. Nolan's eyes narrowed. You have a plan. I nodded. Because for the first time in this entire story, the leverage was mine. I texted back one word. Noon. And Rothwell replied instantly. Good girl. The old library stood at the edge of downtown. Abandoned after a storm cracked the roof years ago. Boarded windows. Weeds through pavement. A place no one noticed unless they already knew it was there. Perfect for someone who did everything in the quiet. Agent Nolan drove past first without slowing. She didn't look at me. Didn't nod. Didn't confirm anything. That was the point. No visible coordination. No signal. Cole was already positioned 2 blocks away. Mara waited at the corner cafe with a newspaper she wasn't reading. Backup was invisible unless needed. That was the plan. I walked to the library alone. The front door was chained, but one panel of plywood near the side entrance had been pried loose. Not recently, but long enough ago that it blended in. The smell inside was old dust, paper rot, and cold concrete. Light filtered through broken stained glass overhead, splintering color onto the floor. A man sat at a study table like he had been waiting for years. Rothwell. Older now. Grayer. But still composed. The kind of composure that comes from believing the world is a game and everyone else is a piece. He smiled when he saw me. Not warmly. Recognizingly. "Lena," he said. "You grew into exactly what I knew you would. Sharp. Controlled. Elegant in crisis. I didn't sit. You placed him in my life." His smile widened, but only the mouth moved. Never the eyes. "I introduced an opportunity," he said. "Caleb acted on it. And you benefited from it for years." "I didn't know," I said. "Of course you didn't. That was the design." He leaned back. "You were the credibility. The moral anchor. The reason the charities books went unquestioned." The floor shifted under the weight of what he was saying, not metaphorically. Literally. Like the building itself resented being part of this conversation. "You used my mother's legacy," I said. My voice was steady. Too steady. He folded his hands. "Her legacy was nothing. Sentiment. A small-town project with small-town outcomes. I elevated it. I made your name one that mattered." He believed that. Truly believed that. He continued. "Caleb lacked natural influence. He needed a partner who could open doors without understanding what passed through them." He looked at me the way a jeweler looks at a gemstone, admiring but not caring. I didn't respond. Silence made him talk more. Rothwell sighed as if bored. "Caleb was loyal but emotional. That is why he failed. You, however," he tilted his head. "You are built for longevity." There it was. This was not a confession. This was a job offer. "You want me to step into his place," I said. He smiled, not pleased. Satisfied. "Power chooses those who can carry silence," he said. "You have carried it your whole life. You endured him. You played loyal. You survived discovery. And you did not collapse." He leaned forward. "The system needs someone like you." My pulse didn't quicken. My breathing didn't change. Because I had already known on some level that this moment was coming. He continued. "You join. Quietly. You sign nothing. You approve nothing in writing. You are the face. The respectability. The public softness. The work happens behind you. You get security. Stability. Control. No more surprises." He believed he had already won. He believed I came here to negotiate. I finally sat down. Not because I was persuaded. Because sitting made him believe I was listening. "What happens," I asked, "if I say no?" He smiled like I had told a joke. "There is no no. There is alignment or there is consequence." He slid a thin folder across the table. Inside, screenshots of the forged charity documents. Screenshots of transfers. My name. My signature. My fund. On paper I was guilty. "Your life burns," he said calmly. "The charity burns. Your mother's memory burns. You lose everything except your last name." He let the silence stretch. He was good. Not emotional. Not loud. Just certain. I looked at the folder. Then at him. "You made one mistake," I said. He raised an eyebrow. "You think I came alone." He didn't move. He didn't flinch. But something behind his eyes shifted. A calculation resetting. Footsteps echoed from the back of the library. Not Nolan. Not Cole. Not backup. Caleb. He stepped into the fractured stained glass light. No cuffs, no escort, no exhaustion. Rothwell smiled once, truly, as if a final piece had clicked. You didn't think I would let them take me, Caleb said softly. He looked at me, not pleading, not angry, expecting. Like the trap he was in belonged to me now. Caleb stepped into the abandoned library like he had never been arrested at all. No cuffs, no fear. Just certainty. He looked at me, not Rothwell. You came, he said softly. Rothwell didn't stand. He simply observed. She understands stakes, he said. She is built for alignment. Now I understood their connection. Caleb had not stumbled into corruption. He'd been recruited. You used my mother's charity, I said. You used me. Rothwell's tone was patient, like explaining a formula. We selected you because people trust you. You were the credibility. Caleb executed the transfers. Together you were perfect. Caleb took one step closer. You sign what we tell you. You say you knew. I get a reduced sentence. We rebuild later. Quiet. Controlled. Not a request. A command. You expect me to save you, I said. I expect you to protect yourself, he corrected. If you refuse, everything burns with you in it. The charity. Your name. Your past. He slid a folder forward. My name. My forged signature. Evidence crafted to make me look like the architect. Rothwell's voice softened. Say yes and your life continues. Say no and you lose everything. They believed I had no choice. I finally sat, not to surrender but to make them watch me. You both made one mistake, I said. You thought I came alone. Their expressions didn't change, but their posture did. Slight tension. A shift. I reached into my jacket and placed a small recorder on the table. Light blinking. Recording everything since I walked in. Footsteps sounded behind the stacks. Agent Nolan stepped into view. Cole appeared at the side exit. Backup sealed the perimeter. Rothwell exhaled slow. So you finally learned to play. No, I said. I finally learned to stop protecting the wrong people. Then Mara stepped forward, holding something neither man expected. The original Foundation ledger. The real one. The one Rothwell believed Caleb controlled. The one Rothwell built his empire on. Mara's voice didn't shake. I kept it. The day you told him to move the charity funds. I knew one day you would turn on each other. Rothwell tried to speak, but Nolan's voice cut clean. Rothwell. You are under arrest for racketeering, financial fraud, and laundering through charitable entities. Cole cuffed him. He didn't resist. He just looked at me. You could have been extraordinary. I am, I said. Just not yours. Caleb stared at me. No charm now, only disbelief. Lena, we had a life. Yes, I said. But I was the only one living it honestly. They let him out. The library fell quiet. Not victorious, just real. Mara approached. What now? I stepped into daylight. I rebuild, I said. Without him. If you're listening and someone taught you to stay silent to be loved, stop. You don't owe anyone your silence. Choose yourself.